everyone here an opportunity to be included in what we want to do, in the sense as we want to make a give and we want everybody to feel like they're a part of it. So how do you do that? There's those of us on here that you can donate in chunks, so you can do that. And some of us, we don't feel like we can. So there's a company, they created an app that's called Change Giving. And basically what they do is you basically sign up a credit card or a debit card. And if you can commit to, let's say 30 days of using that card, and what happens is whatever the change is that whenever you make a spend, the change that's left over, it gets collected. And at the end of the month, that will be your donation. If you think about how we just throw change away or throw change to the side or whatever, you can control the amount of change that you give. I'm gonna actually share my screen. It'll kind of explain to you guys how it works. And videos a little short of 2 minutes, but here goes.
Looking for a way to make a difference in the lives of others? Now you can. The Change Giving app is the world's only social giving platform that lets you give your spare change to charitable fundraising campaigns every time you use your debit or credit card. Change Giving's simple 3-step process makes giving easy. Step 1, choose a fundraising campaign. Step 2, link your debit or credit card. Step 3, go about your daily purchases and watch your spare change add up. Here's how it works. Imagine you're buying a cup of coffee at $2.50. Change Giving app will round up your transaction to the nearest dollar. And at the end of the month, your spare change is added up and automatically donated to the fundraising campaigns of your choice. With the Change Giving app, you can divide your spare change between 5 different fundraising campaigns, or give instantly with our one-time give feature. Track your daily donations on the My Change page. You can even set a minimum and maximum amount, so you can control how much money you're giving each month. Follow fundraising campaigns and see the impact of your donations. You can also share your favorite fundraising campaigns on social media with your friends and family to make an even bigger impact. With the Change Giving app, it's easier than ever to give back and help those in need. Now is the time to make a difference. If we all work together, our spare change will add up to make the world a better place. Download the Change Giving app today and start making a difference with your spare change. Available in the Apple and Google Play Store.
So that's kind of a brief explanation as to how the app works. I'm in conversation with them just to see exactly how for us, when we roll it out. I think we're going to roll it out sometime later this week. But I think it allows everybody to be a part of it. Your change matters, because we're trying to change some things right now. It's so fitting. it's just fitting at that, and what we're trying to do. It kind of all ties in. I'm sure there's questions. If put questions in the chat box, I'll answer some of those questions, or I'll just try to answer as many of them as possible. But I think this is a great way for us to all together make a difference and be inclusive, and we don't have to exclude anyone from being a part of what we do here as a team. So thank you. Back to you, Grant.
Thank you, Marshall.
Awesome. Yes, thank you.
Hold on one second. I was supposed to talk about this. So just in the whole, sorry about that. And just the operations of it is for everything to go through Change Giving to set up as the pass through. The AmeriCAN Foundation will collect all the funds, and then from us and the AmeriCAN Foundation, we'll pick those charities and distribute the monies to the collective charities. And We talked about this the other day, and I'm gonna mention it. For those of you who don't know, the list that we got, Monique Brown provided the list of entities, and I'm very familiar with the American Foundation and what they do. They do great work, but because she's a part of the company, she didn't put their foundation on there because that's just the quality of person that she is. I think that their foundation should be on there. We should consider what they do because they do a lot of great work, not just here in Southern California, but I'm talking about everywhere. Whether it's kids, whether it's with people out of jail, whether it's older people. I mean, they're always doing work. Her and Jim Brown, and just trying to make a difference. And Monique, I know you did it just to kind of remove yourself. You wanted to give a list, but you guys deserve to be on that list as well.
Well, we just appreciate the conversation and the fact that everyone is, actively conscious and wanting to make a difference. And there's so many different ways to do that. And we just want to be a resource and utilize our collective power and interest. So yeah, any way that we can serve. Thank you.
That's awesome. You want me to take it from here? Awesome. So yes, thank you, Marshall, for really looking at that app and seeing that this is it. We're about to cross over 300 people on this Zoom. Imagine the change that can come from your change. And then also the amount that it's not changed is like, I want to also deposit some money in it. And absolutely, Monique's nonprofit that she's doing, feet on the ground out there, really trying to make change, not really trying, making change. Definitely excited for all the things that's going to be coming out of this. And I really want to then bring up this next speaker. So I feel forever indebted to Hannah Hornstein. And so he spent so many times with me that I'm like, oh my gosh, you are a saint. And so as much of I feel indebted with Hannah, Jamie also, I feel forever indebted with her because Emily and I look at her and Sean and just value so much of what they stand for. Number one, a do-it-first leader. Number two, the strength in the family unit. As I learn just more and more about myself, you start to realize how important that family unit is. And so for them to be an amazing example of keeping faith first, keeping family second, and what that leads to in the future is absolutely amazing. But her business is also very powerful also. Some of the top women in business are on her team. Some of the top people in the company that everyone looks up to are on her team. We are on her team. And so Jamie, I want to make sure that I bring you up. Thank you for all the different things that you do for the team and for the company and for society and the world. And so I want to make sure that we all give a warm welcome to Jamie Villalova.
Awesome. Well, I want to just congratulate a few people that are on this call. One is Raul Reyes, who recently hit SMD, and then he promoted Jeremy to SMD. So congratulations to both of you. Richard Mallard's on this call, who just took his promotion today, and that's official today, making his leader, Israel Vargas, an SMD. I'm sorry, an EMD. And so just wanted to congratulate you guys. And I wanted to also just thank Grant and Marshall for what they're doing. Congratulations, Marshall Falk, also for hitting SMD just this last couple days. It's so awesome. I just love how much momentum this team has right now, how much growth that's happening. But it's exciting, with all that's going on and all of the distractions that are happening all over the world. We can still find good, and we can still stay positive, and we can still stay focused. And with all that these guys have on their plate, to crush those SMD promotions is phenomenal. And I'm just appreciative to them. But I also wanted just to say how much I really appreciate Grant and Marshall for doing the work and presenting this charitable, opportunity. I love how our Team Revolution, also Virtuity, no matter what we do as far as big events or, big things that we're doing, campaigns, contests, we really tried not only to build entrepreneurs, not only to build leaders, but to build philanthropists. And so, I've had so many conversations. I have a very big team with tons of different people from every background. And I've had so many conversations. In fact, just got off another one recently, about 30 minutes ago. Of people that are really distraught right now, very frustrated. Some are angry, some are sad, some really don't even know what to feel, but they also want to make change. And they're really feeling overwhelmed with even how could they do that? And how could little old me really make a difference? I want to change the world, but how do I even do that? So I really appreciate you, Grant and Marshall, for opening the meeting this way. Just a couple announcements. We have a just amazing week lined up with training, but this Saturday we have a crazy busy a day with, we have BPMs. I think Johanna Mockett's doing the BPM on Saturday, one of our great CEOs, female strong leader. And then we have Closers College going on from, I think it's like 9 to 11:30. And then we have Fast Start School going on. And just so you guys know, if you were on that last Fast Start School with Monty Home and Sean and myself, I'm just going to replay that one for the new people because it was so good. And I mean, who doesn't want to have exposure to Monty? So we're going to have the Fast Start School, a Closers College. Pay attention because we have a Closers College for the licensed people. And then we also have during BPM from 9 to 10, a Closers College just for the brand new unlicensed people to teach you to be independent. And so I just really don't want to take any more of your guys' time. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. But I am excited about our guest speaker tonight. And I'm really excited about our guest speaker. This is a guy that's only been in the business 3 months and he's already an SMD. Now think about that. We've had people do it quickly like this before, but this guy, he joined 3 days before quarantine started. So he's never set foot in a WFG office. He's never been to a presentation, a big event, a BPM in an office. He's never seen any of that. He was presented by this opportunity. First, he has a lot going on. He has 4 little kids. So don't think that this guy is has no excuses, right? He has 4 kids, ages 2 to 14. So that takes away some of your excuses right now. People are like, oh yeah, he's probably young and single and can focus on this. But yeah, he has kids. He has 2 other businesses that are, multi-million-dollar businesses. And so it wasn't like he was dissatisfied. You know what I mean? He wants more, obviously. He took a look at this. He said, I don't know. But then he kind of came back around and said, you know what, maybe I will try this. Great timing because COVID started and those other businesses obviously were kind of put on hold. So he had a little bit of time, like many of us that were home during COVID. Again, you all had the same, most of you all had the same opportunity here. But he's home and he said, you know what, I have a short window of time and I'm going to learn as much as I can about this thing. And I'm going to do as much work as possible in this thing. And so there's really, I had a great talk with him today. What he's doing right now is he's working, he's coachable, but he's become like a student of this business and learning every aspect of the business as fast as possible. He's putting in hours like many of us have. And I know that people like Ed Milet, myself, Jeff Levitan, Rich Thawley, Monty Home, we go through numbers, quantity, quality, we go through numbers and we're always wanting to help and serve and leave no family behind. But make no mistake, we're looking for leaders. We're looking for hungry people that want it bad. And then it's just such a breath of fresh air to us, bigger leaders when a guy like this comes aboard our company and it kind of resells us the dream that, there's guys like that out there. This is a guy, his name is Ali Zamani. Hopefully I said that right. He's probably the next Raja Dhaliwal. He's probably going to break a ton of records. He's looking to make 7 figures his first year here. And so I wanted him to share with you Because then again, you can kind of say, well, maybe they're doing this or maybe they're doing that. He's kicking your butt because he's outworking you, bottom line. And so I wanted him to share with you kind of his story, what he's doing right now, and know that, you know, there's no excuses. Like, you could be doing the same thing. It's just a matter of who talks to more people and who wants it the most. And so this guy is a stud, you guys. And he's a replacement leg to a guy that was direct to Ed Milet. So now he's direct to Ed Milet. And you could say, well, oh, great. If I was direct to Ed, no, that's not true. He said in the last couple months, he spent about 15 minutes total on the phone with Ed. So Ed's a busy guy. And so that's not the reason either. That's not the reason either. It's just that he's super duper hungry, and he's not taking this opportunity for granted in any way. So Allie, we're appreciative of your time. Thank you for being on tonight. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Feel so humbled that I got an introduction like that from you. So thank you so much. And, you know, thank you everybody for taking the time to hop on the call tonight. By the way, thumbs up. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Okay. I thrive off of energy. Okay. So if you guys want to engage, want to talk in the chat room, whatever you'd like, I'd like to start out by kind of throwing out this disclaimer, if you will. To the contrary, I am not talented. I just want to make that clear. I am not special, unique, or talented. I am simply obsessed, and you'll learn that about me. And like my old high school football coach once said, hard work always beats talent, especially when talent is not working hard. So I just want to throw that out there, that I am not talented. I am simply obsessed. I am eating, I am breathing, I'm living, I am sleeping this business, WFG, inside and out. And that's what I've been doing for the last 90 days. If there's two terms to kind of describe me, it would be this. Slightly delusional, exceptionally optimistic. The last 90 days have been a complete delusion. I don't know what's happened. I don't remember what week, what day it is. That's how hard I've worked. Not figuratively like the Gary V, work and hustle your face off. I've already done that in my 20s. I don't remember my 20s. I think I made a few million. I think I made a few kids. I don't really remember it. So I've already gone through that phase. I'm not trying to impress anybody, but I'm letting you know I'm physically, not figuratively, okay, or emotionally. I am physically working 16 to 18 hours a day, not awake 16 to 18 hours a day. I'm awake 20 to 22 hours a day. You're asking, when do I sleep? Well, you know what? You caught me. That's the only thing I do part-time in my life, sleep. And that's not just me being eccentric on the call. That's literally who I am and what I do to my core. So I promise you, and I give my commitment to you during the next 45 minutes of a roller coaster that we're going to go on, I'm going to give you all of my focus, all of my attention, and you better believe I'm going to give you a lot of energy. So I would love for that to be reciprocated. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of things I'm going to cover, a lot of notes I have that I'm going to go through. I'm going to try to speak from the heart as much as I can. I may miss a couple things. I don't really care. A lot of content's going to be covered. 24 to 48 hours from now, you will forget 95% of what I said. You'll be probably motivated after the call. What I encourage you to do is just find one or two things, at minimum one. If there's one thing of value that you can learn today, and by the way, who am I? I'll get into that. Who am I though? I'm nobody. I'm 90 days in the business. I arguably say I see 314 people on the call, not including me, 313. Probably 287 out of 314 of you probably have more experience than me. But I bring the dynamic and perspective of being new. I don't really have any limiting beliefs because I haven't created any yet. I haven't been here long enough. I'm kind of in my infancy stages. Like, I have 4 kids. It's like my 2-year-old jumps off the couch and she thinks she won't get hurt. Kind of like that mindset when you're like a dreamer, when you're a child. I'm a child. I'm a baby. I'm an infant in this business. So I don't know the limits. There are no self-imposed or self-limiting beliefs that I have. So I'm coming in completely fresh. I am ready to be brainwashed in a good way. So let's get started. My name, by way of formal introduction, is Ali Zamani, even though 99% of me call me Ali. Jamie, I'm impressed you said Ali. You actually said it right. Ed still doesn't say it right, but that's okay. I've given everybody a hall pass. Ali sounds kind of cooler, like Muhammad Ali. Ali sounds like a girl's name, but either way. All right, so my name's Ali. My background. I am 36. I am married with 4 kids, aged from 2 to 14. I live out in Southern California. Quick background. I was a refugee from Iran after the revolution during the war. Came to Canada, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, kind of being a foreigner at the tender age of 5, and typical immigrant story. Grew up on welfare, food stamps, watered down ketchup. I didn't have a whole lot growing up, and that's okay, because that's kind of my driving force to kind of avoid the pain of adversity I had growing up. So anyways, parents got divorced at a young age, got an education, got a scholarship to the top-rated university in Toronto, and believe it or not, Mr. ADHD himself got a scholarship into law school. Can you believe that? I was actually going to be a lawyer, and ironically, I was pretty fired up about that path. I had a 12-year path of a 4-year degree in undergrad, 4 years of law school, 4 years of interning. I was motivated for a push decade to go $500,000 in debt to learn how to make 80 to 100 grand a year, and I was fired up because my parents convinced me that's what I wanted to do. I started a summer fling at the age of 19, going door to door with a startup. I ended up making a bunch of money. When you're 19, you're not thinking about your future. You're thinking about your bank account. I made a lot of money, so I decided to drop out of school, which, by the way, in the Persian culture, Middle Eastern culture, you're either a doctor, a lawyer, a surgeon, or you're a bum. There's no in between. And I'm like, hey, mom, dad, I'm going to drop out of school. I'm not going to be a corporate lawyer. I'm going to knock on people's doors for a fucking living. So that conversation didn't go too well. They're happy now, 18 years later, but they weren't back in 2002. So in any event, I got started. Let me fast forward 13 years. This startup ended up becoming a $5 billion publicly traded company that grew from Canada into the US. I grew my footprint into 24 sales offices. I know this number pales in comparison. There's almost that many people on the call, but these were full-time, by the way. 500 full-time independent contractors that I managed in 14 states, 6 provinces, 2 countries, all while I was juggling a family. I was doing pretty well. Lifetime, I generated $1.4 billion. That's why I kind of have the self-proclaimed title of door-to-door king, because I literally sold 10 figures door-to-door. Earned about 8 figures in commissions. I'm not saying these numbers to impress you, by the way. Who gives a shit? I'm saying it to impress upon you that I had this level of success. And 4 years ago, the company went public, and I got fired. I got fired from the only career I knew. And I didn't get fired for compliance. I didn't get fired for performance. I got fired because I did too well. Actually, I did get fired for performance. I performed too much. And the board of directors and shareholders did not like this 32-year-old making more money than the CEO, so they fired me. That was, what's the word? Very character building, okay? When you're 32 and you think you've figured out life. And I think Mike Tyson says it best. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I thought I had a plan. I got punched in the face. So a common theme you'll hear me talk about is pivoting, the ability to adapt. So anyways, let me fast forward the last 4 years. I decided to self-fund my own ventures. Very indicative to my nature. I have never been an entrepreneur. I know on Instagram, everybody's an entrepreneur because they update their bio, and that's how the world works now. You know, as long as I update my bio and I say it enough times and I am who I say I am, I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur until 32. I started my own business. I thought I knew what it was about. I'm a CEO. I have equity. I got business cards. I'm in the big league. I had no idea, by the way, yet again, that I get punched in the face and I got some teeth broken along the way. I burned through 7-figure seed capital. I went through a lot of negativity, 2 weeks away from bankruptcy, got liens put on my home, chewed up the kids' college fund. My credit score dropped from 800 to 420. This is recently, by the way, in the past 4 years. I literally went all in for my business, and I had such an aggressive burn rate that I was not building. And then 2019 came around. 2019 was like the pivotal year for me. And I started becoming cash flow positive. Both companies hit 8 figures in top line revenue. I expanded in 16 states. I was 35. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I ate shit for the last 3 years, but I fucking made it a second time. I was so happy. And everything was going well. And then, you know, what is it, 3 or 4 months ago, me and Ed Milet get on a phone, and I tried to be like guarded because I've really only made 2 major professional commitments in my life. I'm very guarded when it comes to commitments. And I got Ed Milet, and I'm trying not to be distracted with the social notoriety, the 9-figure net worth, the private jets and the houses. And I wanted to, I had no desire to get into financial services, nor did I have the bandwidth. I got on a call with Ed. Ed says, what do you decide? I said, well, what I decided is I need a week to think about it. Ed says, well, that's new. I don't usually get people saying that at the end of a 1-hour call, but that's fine. You're obviously a different breed. So I took a week, thought about it. 3 days before the lockdown, Friday, I decided to get coded in early March. When I called Ed that day to tell him I was in, I pulled a LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball is the father of the Ball brothers. One, very soon, 2 of them to be in the NBA. I got a big mouth, and I like to speak things into existence. I'm very audacious in that respect. I'm like, hey, Ed, what's the record for somebody going from coded to licensed in California? And he's like, I think the quickest I've seen it is 6 days. That's like somebody saying like Roger Bannister, which we'll talk about, the 4-minute mile, and some dude comes up with like a Bud Light and a cigarette in his mouth, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll run it in 2. I'll break a long-standing record. So I did. He asked me one question. I'll never forget this. He said, is it possible for you to do it in 3 days? I said, mentally, I'm not sure. I got to spend the rest of today figuring that out, mentally and emotionally. Mathematically, absolutely. 52 hours of pre-licensing, 72 hours in 3 days, 17 hours a day. Excel portal logs you out every 20 minutes. So that means I need to be active 3 times an hour. I literally took on my phone, I called it Operation Move Mouse, like moving the mouse. And I put 51 alarms every day from 7 a.m. to midnight to make sure I clocked all of my hours. I literally studied 3 days. I canceled my trip to Legoland with my family because I said, you know what? I always say this to myself, 1 time for a lifetime. Ali, 1 time for a lifetime. You can do it in 3 days. And I get inspired by people like Roger Bannister. So let me tell you this story. Many of you have heard it. Some reinforcing it. Some of you may not have heard it, like myself. So many, many decades ago, back in the 60s, doctors had publicly declared that it was a physical impossibility to run a 4-minute mile, that if a human ran a single mile in under a 4-minute window, it would exert so much pressure on the body that the heart would fail and you would collapse to your death. So if you attempted to run a mile in under 4 minutes, you would die, okay? So doctors had acknowledged this. Society has reinforced it. Nobody attempted it, and when they did, they already had that mental stigma till Roger Bannister came along. I don't want to go through the story of how he visualized and kind of did all of his techniques. I'm going to fast forward a bit in the sake of being respectful and courteous of our time. But 2 years after him practicing, and by the way, I'll tell you this, people are rewarded in public for things that they've done in private for years. The first thing, tangent, side note, Usain Bolt, right? The fastest human being in the world. Usain Bolt has been running his sport, his event for 20 years. He has ran a total of 115 seconds in the Olympics, under 2 minutes. So professionally documented clock time, 115 seconds. He has a net worth amassing $120 million. That's more than $1 million a second. Talk about the economy of effort. But for those 115 seconds, to get that $120 million, he spent 20 years. So Roger Bannister didn't just wake up one day and decide to run a 4-minute mile. It took him 2 or 3 years. I'll spare you all the details. The day came when Roger Bannister did it in 1 second, 1/2 of a second, less than 4 minutes. He did collapse to his knees, but he collapsed to his knees to catch his breath, not die. He actually survived. The unique part about this is not that Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. 6 weeks later, somebody else did it. 1 year later, 10 more people did it. You fast forward half a century. The 4-minute mile is child's play. My 16-year-old nephew had to do that in order to basically earn the privilege to be on the high school track and field team. Listen to what I said. Something that was deemed a physical impossibility, a barrier, was broken by Roger Bannister, and half a century later, it is now no longer a barrier. It's no longer an impossibility. It is now a standard. It is a standard for a 16-year-old in high school to get into track and field. I'm pretty sure if any of us practice for a few months, we can also run a 4-minute mile. So all I'm saying is something that was a barrier is now a standard. So what you got to do, what I do, is I'm very audacious, okay? So when I come in, I'm like, hey, I want to break the barriers. Who says I have to get licensed in 6 days? Who says the average SMD takes 6 to 12 months? Who? And whoever said it doesn't even have to listen to them. I'm really good at earmuffs. I play really good at putting earmuffs on. I come in and people are talking and I'm like, nope, that's not productive. I don't want to hear it. I want to identify what it is I believe I can do and get licensed in 3 days. I believe I can become SMD in 90 days. SMD 90 is not something I created after I became SMD. It's something I created before I actually took the test. I always begin with the end in mind. Like Zig Ziglar says, you're either a meaningful specific or you are a wandering generality. In order to have meaning and purpose, you have to begin with the end in mind. Like the immortal Martin Luther King said, nothing happens unless first a dream. What was my dream? I planned out everything. I looked at the comp plan. Before I took my test, before I signed up for pre-licensing, I already knew that I wanted to become, I learned all the titles. I learned TA, A, SA, MD, SMD, EMD, CEOMD, SEBC, ET, like I learned ABC, all the acronyms, all in advance. I reverse engineered it. So for me, that was a really pivotal story because I apply that in every area of my life. So I guess what I'm encouraging you to do is to try to pull the Roger Bannister, if you will. Because I'll tell you something. Everything has an opportunity cost, okay? A lot of people look at an opportunity and they think like opportunity is like plentiful and it's always gonna be around. But let me tell you something, by the way. If you believe in luck, I get that out of your mind. I am not lucky, I'm obsessed. There is no such thing as luck. By the way, if you wanna get lucky, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's the only correlation with luck. The harder you work, the luckier you get. But luck, what it really means, if you break it down, like the real definition of luck is this. It's when preparation meets opportunity. I saw an opportunity like I've never seen before. Now, if I wasn't afforded the bandwidth with COVID, I would have never been in this business. I was doing pretty well, but I was afforded the bandwidth. I saw the opportunity. I'm like, how do I get prepared? Not prepared financially. Cool, I got a higher identity coming in. That's like one aspect of it, okay? Very superficial aspect. I got to focus on how am I going to get prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually, educationally, relationally with my kids, maritally with my wife. I knew coming in that I'd be like the Tasmanian devil coming out of hibernation, and that would affect a lot of people in my life. I had conversations with my significant other. I had conversations with my kids. Heck, I had conversations with my mother-in-law and my own mother because I knew that in order to make this work, it would require a level of effort that was beyond what I was doing at the time. And I realized and recognized the opportunity cost. Well, what's the opportunity cost? Well, WFG is a reputable company. They got a life-changing opportunity, long-standing career where I can have sustainability, longevity. It's not a get rich quick. It's a get really rich, really slow opportunity. Ed Milet's coming back in the game. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a big deal. Like he's talking to Tim Cook and Phil Knight and talking about A-Rod and J-Lo and dropping names. I don't know these people, but they're encouraging him to get back in. I'm like, you've made $500 million. You left and you're coming back in. I think that's an indication that like there's an opportunity here. So the opportunity cost was I changed the lens of how I looked at it. The opportunity wasn't mine to gain. The opportunity was mine to lose. Just like when you go to school. Listen, post-secondary education, I was going to go down that path. I didn't. It's not just going to school full-time for 4 years. There's an investment cost that you have to pay for school, but a lot of people don't evaluate the opportunity cost. When I go to school full-time, what can I not do full-time? Work. Well, if the average median U.S. income is $47,000 before tax, let's round that up to 50 for good measure. 50 times 4, $200,000 is my opportunity cost and 4 years. So when I came in, I'm like, if I don't take advantage of it, I'm not special. Somebody else will. So when I came in, I'm like, how do I, listen, attention is just preliminary, okay? How do I get attention? Attention is currency. Attention leads to engagement. Engagement leads to involvement. And involvement means the people that have been successful in this business, the Ed Milet's of the world, the Swan Wynn, the Jamies of the world. How do I get there? Like, look, I'm on a call. I've been here for 92 days. Why am I on a call with 322 people? Why? Because I'm loud and I got a Lambo behind me? That is not why. Because I understood that when I came in, like, this passion was there from day one. You don't get excited after you hit the incentive or after you get the recognition or after you get the ring or after you go on a trip or after you become EBZ or after you get on stage or after any of these things, because none of them will actually materialize or happen unless you get excited first. So just like the story of Prometheus, how he stole the spark from Zeus and disobeyed him and brought fire to the people and got chained up for all eternity. I'm like, I'm Prometheus. How do I get the fire? How do I go get a spark from Ed Milet? And he was willingly giving it. He was holding his lightning rod. Like, who wants it? You want it? You want it? You want it? I'm like, I want it. I walked up to Zeus. I took a spark from his lightning rod, and I was Prometheus, and I brought fire to my people. Figuratively and literally, I brought fire, because it takes fire to light fires. That's why I've had a lot of success early on. And let me tell you something. I called the pandemic pivot. You have to have the ability to pivot. Let me tell you something. One of my favorite quotes, top 5 favorite quotes ever, Charles Darwin. It is not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones that are the most adaptive to change. The only constant in life and business is change. You thought you had life figured out? I got one word for you. Coronavirus. Okay? Just in case you thought you had this thing called life figured out, coronavirus. It fucked up everybody's world, including mine. Okay? I can sit here and pretend like I wasn't affected. I was. Homeschooling 3 out of 4 kids, 2 8-figure businesses going to the shitter, having to start again out of my garage from scratch at 36. Yes, it affected me. So just next time you think like you have life figured out, I just want you to remember coronavirus, okay? Luckily, I had the mental wherewithal and the fortitude and the aptitude to make a decision 3 days before it actually happened. Talk about irony. But the pandemic pivot has the ability to pivot and adapt. I want to tell you a quick analogy because I love stories. I think they resonate with individuals. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were the largest animals that ever roamed God's earth. They have been extinct now for almost 250 million years, okay? Let me tell you something. Dinosaurs were massive. They were larger than life. Where are they now? They're nowhere to be found. You know why? Because food became scarce. They weren't able to adapt to their ecosystem, and they became extinct. So if you think you want to take the approach of the big bad Jurassic Park dinosaur and growth, I'm telling you something. It's not about who's the biggest or strongest or who was the hardest. What it's about is the individual that understands adapting. I never had the luxury of going into a BPM. I keep calling it a KTP. When the fuck have I sat at a kitchen table? Never. I've done 100 KTPs. I haven't sat at a kitchen table. I've done 50 BPMs. I've never been to a BPM. I didn't know what Zoom was before March 2nd. Like, I've been zooming and booming through a laptop and a smartphone. So I didn't have that. I was kind of like at the forefront of like the virtualization of the economy. And WFG is starting to embrace it now. Initially, it was forceful, now it's elective. Now you got Victor Sanchez running calls where I saw Jamie the first time a few weeks ago talking about how to run a virtual business. People are incorporating other elements as well. So all I'm saying is I wasn't here with the traditional brick and mortar model, which I want to learn. So I just came in at the forefront of adaptation. Plus what happened in my life, I had to swallow my pride. I have an ego. You have an ego. Everybody has an ego. You know what the acronyms of ego stand for? EGO. Everyone's got one, including you and me. I had to like swallow my pride. I'm like, damn, I'm starting again at 36? Let me tell you something. I talked about dinosaurs being extinct. You know what's the longest standing species in the history of the world? Cockroaches. You know that? They sustained for 280 million years. Do you know that? 280 million years. Let me tell you a couple of fun facts. Don't ask me why I know this. Let me tell you a couple of fun facts you didn't know about cockroaches. A cockroach can run up to 3 miles per hour. A cockroach can hold its breath for 45 minutes underwater. A cockroach can withstand temperatures down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. A cockroach, a female cockroach, can stay pregnant its entire life. A cockroach has 2 sets of teeth, one in its mouth and one in its stomach. A cockroach, when faced with an enemy, can squeeze itself down to the size of a dime. A cockroach can survive 7 days without its head, and it only dies because it has lack of food and water. And a cockroach can withstand the impact of a nuclear explosion. So what am I telling you? Am I telling you to be a cockroach? No, that's not what I'm telling you, by the way. It's not what I'm telling you. I'm just telling you it's an odd animal, odd species, and they survived for 250 million years. So what you want to do is figure out how to adapt. Things are going to be constantly changing, ever changing. It's your ability to accept that change brings dollars, and no change makes no sense. I'm telling you, there's one thing that you can get comfortable with that's going to happen constantly in your life. Embrace change. What I want to also talk about, I'm going to finish up here probably in about 10 minutes and pass it back over to Jamie, who can do a live Q&A. But let me tell you something. I believe there is a fundamental difference between having resources and being resourceful. Let me repeat that for emphasis. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm preaching, but this is important. Being resourceful versus having resources. Listen, I'm 36. I talk like I'm like in my 60s, like back in my day, but I'm 36, okay? But back in my day, let me tell you something. The internet wasn't really booming during my day. It was really no cell phones during my day. You weren't texting, you weren't going on social media. Websites weren't built overnight by 14-year-olds on Wix. They were built on WordPress for $40,000 to $50,000. You want to go to a motivational seminar? You didn't go to YouTube. You dragged your ass and went to Anthony Robbins, Business Mastery. You dropped 10K and you went to Australia or Fiji or Hawaii with a bunch of random people, 5,000 people, $10,000, and you fucking learned with a pen and paper. That's how you learn. In fact, we didn't have mentors and podcasts and the internet, Google. The Google machine didn't exist. You couldn't get your keyboard and go on the Google machine back in the day. You had to figure shit out. You had to go to an encyclopedia. You had to go to the library. You had to ask people. You had to call your mentor. I'm sorry, not call, page your mentor, right? 911, 411. They had to call you from the landline. You had to have a conversation. That's how it was back in the day. I think what we're suffering from right now is oversaturation. Oversaturation of information. Oversaturation of mentorship. Oversaturation of fucking memes. Memes don't work unless you do. There's so many tools and resources out there. I came into WFG. I went to my WFG one time. I went to my campaign manager. I'm like, oh my God, I could be here for 6 years and not get through all this time. There are so many resources. And I'm the kind of guy that operates with nothing. You know what I mean? Like I come in and someone's like, figure it out. And I'm like, great, that's where I thrive. So I came in here and I'm like, I'm going to be resourceful. There was a lot of resources. Now I got the combination of both. I went and took initiative. I went and took massive action, and I had the backing. By the way, I want to throw this out. If anybody thinks that I got here because of Ed Milet, you are sadly mistaken. I am here because of Ed Milet. I didn't become SMD in 82 days because of Ed Milet. He knows that. I know that. We both know that. And now you know that. 3 text messages a day and 8 minutes of phone conversations a week doesn't do that, okay? What I have to do is learn this, okay? It's kind of like I became a McDonald's franchise owner and Ed holds the world record. He's the largest single franchise holder in the history of the world. He's at 800 McDonald's franchises, but none of them are open right now. And I'm like, how do I run my McDonald's? How do I do a BPM if I can't see a BPM? How do I run the cash register if I can't see it? I got to read this manual and learn how the process flow works. So I did. I said, you know what I'm going to do? Because I truly believe the definition, the essence of true leadership is this. You can write this down. You want to be a great leader? This is how you become a great leader. You master the lower levels of your business. You want to be a franchise owner and open up your own base shop? Learn every position. I want to be a field trainee. I want to be a field trainer. I want to learn BPM, KCP, ABC, 1, 2, 3. I want to learn every acronym, every position, every angle, inside and out. I want to know Transamerica, Nationwide, Trump. I want to know all the carriers. I want to know how to get appointed. I want to know Kaplan. I want to know DeerCon. I want to know NIPR. I want to know ExamFX. I want to know Excel portal. I want to know the state requirements. I want to have that written down. That Nevada is an 80% requirement. Every other, and Florida, every other state, 70%. California, I don't know why. They might think we're dumb. They bring it down to 60%. I want to know the stats. I want to know how you register. I want to know how you go to PSI. I created a portal with modules and sections and Loom videos and PDFs, having gone through the process because I went through it. I mastered the lower levels of my business. So now when I'm running my McDonald's franchise, guess what? I ran the cash register. I know how to make a quarter pounder. I know what the secret is in the Big Mac sauce. And you know what? I've cleaned the toilet as well. I've learned and I've mastered, not just learned, I've mastered the lower levels of my business. That's why I'm such a great teacher after 3 months, because I've been yearning and burning to be a student. Let me tell you something. It sounds cliche, but I love it. First you learn, then you remove the L. Are you with me? Let me repeat that. First you learn, then you remove the L. I didn't come in with a sense of entitlement or expectation from anybody. I came in from the ground up. I said, how do I learn the system? How do I master the lower levels of this business? I'm telling you, it did not happen by accident. I did not become SMD in 82 days by accident. It wasn't on accident. It was 100% on purpose. And we may not have time on this call for me to outline exactly what I did, but I want to outline that for everybody. I have one more analogy because I love my analogy. I want you to remember this. The early 1800s, the California gold rush, there's a common misconception in society that they fundamentally believe that the people that were the most successful and made out like bandits during the California gold rush were the gold miners, the individuals that collected the gold. And I'm here to tell you, that's a folklore. That is not true. That's a myth. It was not the schlep rocks that were digging dirt 18 to 20 hours a day looking for nuggets that made money. Who it was rather was the mining supply shops, understanding that if they can empower the miners with the tools, the supplies, and the instruments needed in order to extract the end result, which was the gold, that would be their power play. It was a distribution play. They empowered other people. So in fact, I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but the people that were the most successful during the gold rush, in fact, collected no gold, and in fact was the individuals that provided the instruments to the gold miners and empowered them to collect the gold. So what I'm saying is this: the people that made the most amount of money during the gold rush collected zero gold. Isn't that mind-blowing? The people that made the most amount of money during the gold rush collected no gold. So am I saying don't write policy? Don't get recruit? That's not what I'm saying. But understanding it's a distribution play. Understanding things I don't know yet, like taprooting. I'm learning that. It's an access play. It's a distribution play. How can I empower other people? My concern, I have 111 people now in my base shop because I slowed down over the last few weeks. I've been focusing on kind of moving the ship forward, right? I've kind of like plateaued at 100, but my goal is by the end of this month to be at 200. I didn't bring 100 people so I can have 100 recruits or I can have 100 clients. Those 100 people know 5 people each. That's 500 people. In each of those 5 people, know 5 people each. That's 25,000. I take my group right now. I stop recruiting tomorrow. And I really leverage Taprooting. I really leverage references and recruits and referrals and the process, okay? I'm telling you, I cannot recruit a single person for the rest of the year, and I can have access to 2,500 people. And then I can do that again and have access to 12,500 and do that again, 60,000. If I learn how to taproot the people I currently have right now, 4 generations deep, forget about getting 9 SMDs and becoming EVP. I have access. I don't know if you know this. I'm starting to learn this. Even though I don't know it, and I'm starting to grasp it, I'm not fully there, because in my group chat, it says 111. That's all I see. What I really have, 4 levels deep, is I have 60,000 people. I just got to go find them. I'm the mining supply shop. I'm not the miner. So I really want to kind of present that as a perspective change and kind of a paradigm shift on how we really approach the business. So on that note, I'm going to go and take my first breath in 45 minutes. I'm going to end it, pass it over to Jamie, and I'd be more than happy to do a Q&A and answer a couple of questions. Jamie, thank you so much. And I see your husband, Sean, in the background. Sean, nice to meet you. I've heard about you as well.
That was awesome. People are blowing me up right now. Like, this is awesome. I'm going to be a cockroach.
Team Cockroach.
Team Cockroach. So, no, but you know what? Like earlier you said something to me when we were talking about like, it isn't just that you're saying you're working your butt off, but that you are physically working 18 hours a day and that you're blocking out time with your kids. And then your prime time was like 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Do you want to go spend like a little bit on your schedule a little bit?
I go through 3 days every day. So I have my
Mini
morning
days.
day, mini days. My morning day, my afternoon day, my evening day. My morning day usually runs from about 5 or 6 a.m. and runs till about 10. It's probably my shortest day, but it's the time of day. Like my calls don't start till 11 o'clock. I'm not answering my phone between 6 and 10. It's all noise. Everybody wants to distract me from my goal and from my mission. And they might be on my team as well. Not happening. I'm not available before 10. I'm available, but I'm not really available. Leave me alone. I'm in my zone because that's when I schedule my day out. That's when I prioritize things that need to get done. And I prioritize the hardest things. By the way, if you've ever heard this or said this, I don't have time. I'm here to let you know that's bullshit. You do have time. Everybody has time. Start changing the dynamic of how you think and how you speak. No longer say I don't have time. Just say it's not a priority. That's all it is. Just say it's not a priority. Everybody has time. The morning time for me is my prioritizing time. Then I have about 2 hours with the kids after my calls. 10 to 12 is like my daily calls with my leadership group, with my general hierarchy. 12 to 2, I get an afternoon break, shoot some basketball, try to get my mind, because I'm very intense, like when I'm focused, get a couple hours off. Then I run from probably 2 o'clock till about 7 p.m., another 5-hour day. I'll be honest, that 5-hour day, no schedule. I'm a firefighter. You call me, I'm picking up the phone. You text me, I'm answering that text. I'm putting out fires, That's when that's my reactive day, if you will. Whatever's coming, the boss system, my WFG, this happened, associate coach. Yeah, okay, cool. It's a tornado, that 5 hours. Then around 7 or 8, I get 1 or 2 more hours with the kids, probably till 8 or 9. And then my 9 to 2 day, which is tied for my longest day, is my most productive day. My sales force, the majority of them are sleeping. My kids are sleeping. Social media is sleeping. Excuse my language, but nobody is fucking bothering me. Nobody. And that really gives me the ability to really have that creative time. That's like my creative ingenuity time. That's when I create member portals and do automation with text messages, and I create SMD Bootcamp Academy and all of that stuff that I do in my garage, sitting here and just going away on my laptop. So that's kind of my day. And it's not figurative, it's literal. A soft day for me is 16 hours. An average day is probably 17 to 18 every day. I don't remember the last 90 days. It'll probably slow down maybe in July. Maybe I'll start doing 14, 16-hour days, but that's literally how I've done it. I've neglected everything in my life. It's basically what I've done. You're on mute. You're on mute. Jamie, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So yeah, no, I think that's how Ed did it. I think that's how Jeff Levitan did it. It's how for sure Sean and I know did it. And we're building now to create what we want our life to look like. And I think that success demands a price, a big price. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And I think that price has to be paid upfront and in full. I'm going to invite Hannah and Marshall to come off mute and ask whatever questions you have, but I have a couple questions too. Your mindset is like, whatever you need, you're going to go get is what I see, right? And like you have questions on something, you're resourceful, I guess is the word you use, going to the website, spending, whatever time needed there. But also reaching out to guys, not just Ed, but others. We had a conversation about you flying across the country to Georgia to talk to a guy, that's no part of Ed's hierarchy whatsoever. And I think most people won't do that. They're waiting on something. They're waiting on the right person to come into their business or a mentor to reach out to them. So you want to expand on that mindset of just, making that happen?
I'll tell you two things. Number one, I love how you said negotiate the price that you're willing to pay up front. It's not literal, it's figurative, but the price I'm willing to pay is I'm willing to die. That's my decision. Like my shirt, if you see it, it says, I am a rhinopreneur. That's my shtick. I actually wrote a book I'm going to be releasing called The Rhino Mindset, which is having an unstoppable mindset. Basically, rhinopreneur is a mix of the word rhinoceros and entrepreneur. And a rhinoceros, obviously, when people think of it, immediately what comes to mind is like the thick skin and the large horns. What a lot of people don't realize is rhinos have an unbelievable ability to be laser focused and lock in on a target. And it's said that when a rhino locks in on a target and they charge forward, that it is physically impossible to stop the rhino. The only way to stop a rhino from charging is to kill it and take away its life. So for the rhino, they're willing to die for their decisions. They're willing to die for the charge. So for me, that's how I kind of treat decisions that I make in my life, that when I make a commitment, because the true definition of commitment is this: staying true to what you said you would do long after the mood that you said it in has left you. So I promise you, being on a 1-hour Zoom call with Ed with a $50 million backdrop, everyone's going to say exactly what Ed wants to hear. Yes, sir. I'm going to be your top person. Yes, I can do it. And then you get off the call, and then that commitment wears off. That's why I took that 1 week to let the lust of Ed Milet, the lust of WFT, the lust of private jets and millions of dollars, which I would like, and I've achieved mild success, but I didn't want that to be the forefront and the basis and the foundational infrastructure of my decision. So the price I was willing to pay was I was willing to die. And to your point, I'm very audacious in my own right. I'll tell you this. I would like you to repeat after me, everybody on the call, mentally, not verbally. I want you to repeat after me. I give myself permission. That's it. I just want you to say that every day. You don't have to wait to be given permission. Now, did I call Ed and say, hey, I'm going to go meet somebody outside your hierarchy? I know I'm defeating my rule by asking for permission. I get that. But I'm saying, like, with actions that you take and decisions that you make and the initiative that you take, don't have to get permission. And if you want to, text Jamie after the call. Hey, am I allowed to become EVC by the end of the year, Jamie or Sean? I just wanted to check. But give yourself permission is what I would say.
That's so awesome. Marshall, do you want to take yourself off mute?
Yeah. I'm always, Allie, I'm always talking about internal drive. And it's the thing that when things aren't going the way they're supposed to go, or you thought they would go, or people, it's what keeps you going. Let's talk about your internal drive. Like what's that like? Where does it come from? What keeps it going?
Question, by the way. I have to take off my AirPods because they died, but can you still hear me? Thumbs up? Yeah? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so how do I put this? Drive. Let me talk about what drive means to me and what drives me, if that makes sense. I'm going to break that up into 2 questions. What's drive? Drive is nothing other than discipline. You think you're going to build a business here because you're going to be motivated? I'm telling you, your career is going to be short-lived. Motivation is temporary, like Zig Ziglar says. It must be done daily, like bathing, or it doesn't last. Do not seek to be motivated. Motivation is important. I wake up every morning watching a YouTube video, listening to Audible, listening to a podcast. Yes, we all need to be motivated. Jamie, Marshall needs to be motivated. Ed needs to be, everybody needs to be motivated. But that's not the core of what you do. Discipline. The dictionary definition of discipline is this: doing what you have to do, not what you want to do, even when the initial motivation is gone. So how do I force myself to go to work every day? Discipline. Not because I'm motivated. I am not motivated to not sleep. I am not motivated to work these long hours. I'm not motivated to work for 6 to 8 weeks without a paycheck. I'm not motivated to fucking study my face off and then finally pass the test and then go back into the Kaplan Cave for another 20 hours to do AML or LTC and annuity courses. Like, I'm not motivated to do that, but I'm disciplined enough to do that. So that's how I keep my internal drive to do my day-to-day, my big vision, my big drive. In my 20s, or in my late teens, my early 20s, was all material. I'm a welfare boy. You know, I'm like, yeah, I want millions of dollars. I want Lambos and shit. I want big house. Like, that's all I was. Very surface, very materialistic, all that stuff. Then I had kids, and my life changed. It sounds cliche, but my life changed. Have kids, and you'll see how your life changes. Where you have nieces or nephews or grandkids or your own kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But again, it sounds cliche, but my family is my why. You know what I mean? I went through a lot of pain at an early age, and I think Tony Robbins says it best, that pain and pleasure are the twin propellers that run your life every day. And every action that you take or you fail to take is because of your motivation to want to either gain pleasure or avoid pain. And because I experienced a lot of pain at an early age, I don't want my kids to experience that pain. So almost all of what I do is for my children. My wife too, obviously, but my children. I don't want them to experience and endure the hardships I have. Does that mean I'm gonna give them things without them earning it and have them have a sense of entitlement? No, I gotta figure out and navigate. I'm not the world's best father. I gotta figure out what that looks like, and I'm learning and I'm making mistakes along the way. But I want to be able to provide to my children what I didn't have, and more importantly, I want to be that one dude. I want to be that one dude in the family tree that changes it for generations to come. I was born in Iran to a very wealthy family, northern Iran. My grandfather owned 400 commercial properties, hotels, gas stations. That's probably where I get it from. His name is Ali too. Never met him. He died before I was born. But he was like the Don of real estate in northern Iran. And you know, I'm first generation North American, Canada, now the US. I want to be that dude. I want to be that one guy in the family tree and the lineage that says, oh my God, he's the reason why we are where we are. I want to create generational wealth. So it starts with my kids, then my kids' kids, and then my kids' kids' kids, and then my kids' kids, kids' kids, kids' kids' kids. You get the point. That's kind of like my long-term drive, Marshall. I think you're on mute. Jamie, you're on mute.
Hannah, Marshall, do you have any other questions for him?
Yeah, I've got a question. So, my question for you is, I know you went like 100 wide, or at least 100 in your base 90 days, which is huge. And a ton of people I know are wanting to know, how did you do that? So we got the whys down, your mindset, which is just unbelievable. But how did you do that?
Got it. Very, very good question.
Did
so
you
you
hear
guys
the
have now heard, yeah, great question. You guys have now heard the why. Let me talk about the how. Now, listen, I'm buying all these books. How Money Works, Unauthorized, System Builder. I'm reading all these books, okay? I'm trying to learn how to build a business. This book is telling me to build laterally, and I've been building vertically. I've been taprooting like a mofo, and I've been building pillars. And I've not been thinking about 9 frontline SMDs to become EVC. I've been thinking about nurturing the ecosystem and the environment that I have. So I have kind of said, you know, until I become SMD, I'm just going to kind of ignore all the rules and just do what I feel compelled to do. Because like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. So I just wanted to figure out my own narrative coming in, which is the rebellious nature of who I am. But you want to know how I've built in a very short amount of time, the velocity, if you will. I've been leveraging the online world. I've been leveraging social media, digital prospecting. I've done a lot of things. I've created the new age version of Phone Zone called Text Wars. Because when I hear Phone Zone, you know, to me, I don't know what it is and I've never done it, but I'm like, cool, that's working for the industry. But I got a bunch of 25-year-olds from social media, which they may not be the ideal client, okay? They may not fit that macho category, but you know what? These are people with PhDs, for hunger and driven. I want to bring them in. They're young, they're dynamic, they're eccentric. So I'm bringing them into this environment. I'm teaching them digital prospecting, and it's not what you think. Believe you me, like Instagram, I'm doing okay. I got like 100,000 followers, and it's not swipe up or IG stories, and it's a vanity platform. I don't really like Instagram all that much. Not really good for recruiting. And if you do recruit people, it's like these self-imposed higher identities. I go to Facebook. I go to LinkedIn. Facebook, you can go to add and join groups that have between 20 to 20,000 members. There could be groups about anything. There can be home improvement groups. There can be city-based groups. There can be financial literacy groups. In fact, I've created 3 groups myself. One of my groups has 1,100 people. We talk about financial literacy every day. They got no fucking idea that the owner of the page works for WFG, and I'll never tell them, okay? But what happens is I'm securing leads for my team through that page. I go on a page, I'm part of a page, Dallas, Texas. They have 18,000 members. They're talking about random things in Dallas, like this is where you go to pick apples, and here's the new concert hall, and how you buy tickets at Ticketmaster. And every like 8 to 10 days, I drop in like $1 Million Baby, or you know, like an IUL kind of quote, and I get like 18 likes because nobody really relates with life insurance. I get 18 likes, I get 6 comments, and then I put those 6 comments on my group chat, and we pound for those people on DM. That's 6 warm leads that we're getting from a random comment on a random group on Facebook. You go to LinkedIn. I've done really well stalking the competition. I don't think we have competition, but if we called them that. I had a couple of people coming from PHP. I had a handful of people coming, and one of my direct downlines said, Ali, why are we better than PHP? And then in my mind, I'm like, that's a great question. I don't even know the WFG comp plan to know the PHP comp plan. I've been here for 7 days, but my response was, yeah, get them on the call. I'll handle it. So I got them on the call 2 days. I went on YouTube and stalked PHP comp plan. I found 14 differences of 14 reasons of why our comp plan is better than their comp plan. And then I called it a comprehensive competitive comparison. I had some graphics, like I've been doing this for 10 years. I got in the call, and like, I'll give you one example. They got 7 generations that add up to 25%. We have 6 generations that add up to 27.5%. It's all fugazi, it's not real. You know, they have the extra generation. Then I'm on the call, I'm throwing jokes like, by the way, you're at PHP, and I'm throwing jokes like, hey, PHP, people helping Patrick. Or I throw a joke like, hey, you want to find anybody that's 7 generations at PHP, you got to go to Ancestry.com. And the confidence, the blind faith that I had researching this information, I became the expert. These are people that worked at PHP for 3 years. Then somebody else, Courtney, who lives in Houston, she's like, hey, what if I hit a couple of PHP people? I'm like, let me show you how. Took her on LinkedIn. You go on LinkedIn, in 30 seconds on LinkedIn, don't sleep on LinkedIn. Do not sleep on LinkedIn. You go to LinkedIn, you can geo-target based on location, based on job description, based on the company that they work at, based on the amount of time they've been there, based on everything. So I can go to Houston, Texas, 25-mile radius, PHP marketing director. I click one button in 30 seconds. I have 18 people in a 25-mile radius that are running base shops for PHP. Wow. So there's so many different aspects. Like With my rookies, I have the ABCs of prospecting. I played on the Glenn Ross team. So every Friday we do the ABCs of prospecting. A is agents, B is businesses, lunch and learns. I get them to learn that. C is clients. I blatantly plagiarized the Rolls Royce logo. I took the double R's, and Wednesday references and referrals. So now recruits and referrals. So now Wednesday, our call's about that. Every day I have a theme to my call. Mondays is Max Out Mondays. Tuesdays, Transformation Tuesdays. WFG Wednesday. Takeover Thursday. Fast Start Fridays. Superhero Saturdays. So every day I have a different theme. I have stickers. I have marketing horsepower. Digital prospecting. I get people. The majority of our leads do not come through Instagram. Why do I want to pimp out Ed Milet because he's doing a BPM once a quarter, shove a bunch of people on a call, get 500 people, 50 of them are going to convert, 10 of them might get policies, 8 of them are going to quit. Why would I go through all that effort for 2 people? No, I go to Facebook Messenger, okay? I go to Facebook. I don't want people off Instagram. I did that initially because obviously I'm new in the business. I'm the new guy on the block. So, hey, you know what? Just like Ed and Jamie and Hannah and Marshall and everybody says and believes, yes, it's a crusade. We are the crusade ship. We are on the crusade. Let me tell you something. I understood there's phases to the business. Phase 1 is unleash the beast. Phase 2 is tame the beast. I'm not on the ship yet. I'm on the train. I'm on the one-way freight train, okay? And I'm the conductor of the hype train. I got my head out the window. I'm coming to a rolling stop. I'm getting people on. And I'm not concerned with how far I can go. I'm concerned with how fast I can go. But in the next couple of months, I will stop. I'll get off the train, probably go to happy hour, and then hop on the ship, and then become the captain of the ship. Because now when you're in the ocean, you're not limited to a train track. Now I can focus on going far, not just going fast. There's so many different phases to go through the business. I understood that. But the secret weapon is digital prospecting. Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I haven't used Twitter since 2014. Probably the first year I opened it up. Half of my recruiting comes from Twitter because I'm learning the platform. I'm learning the search metric, not the vanity metric, not how do I change the filter and add a song and add a hashtag so I can get engagement. I don't care about engagement. I care about results. If you don't have 100,000 followers or you don't have 100 followers, you have 1 follower, you have enough. Because what you need to do is not just taproot people that come in the business, but you got to taproot people that are just joining the business for other people that can come in. Every single person. I've probably gone to the extreme. I taprooted some people to 10 or 12. I don't even know if it's possible. Like maybe in 2 months, I might have a 12th generation SMT. I don't even know if I get overridden on that. I don't care. But what I'm doing is I'm really encompassing and uncovering the digital era. Social media, Google, Facebook Messenger, and I'll tell you this, there are apps out there, okay? And I can tell you about some of these apps. Text Magic app, Twilio, Trello, Zapier, a lot of third-party integrations. I've used Kajabi and EverWeb. I don't know this shit. I'm not an admin guy. I'm not a tech guy, okay? I'm exactly as you see me. I'm the hype guy, okay? I would rather watch paint dry or grass grow than do another fucking spreadsheet. I don't like doing that, but I understood I have to master a new skill. So same way I can learn it, so can everybody else. Because I'll tell you something. Systems don't mess up. Systems don't talk back. Systems don't have personalities. And systems, I can have a bot, okay? If you want to use Instagram, you can have a bot where in your story you can say, DM me the word revolution if you're interested. They DM you the word revolution or virtuity, and automatically they get a response. And you can cater the responses. You can talk to people without actually talking to people. How many people can you talk to in a day? Especially if you're part-time. 10, 15? How many can a bot talk to? 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000? So I try to integrate the high touch, which is what I'm popular for and what Ed is teaching me, but I'm trying to incorporate some high tech into it as well, and really sorting out the digital era, because we are in the midst of the digitization and the virtualization of business. Does that mean I'm not getting a base shop? No, I'm already looking at office space in the IE. I'm going to close down my office in Newport, find a new, 10,000 square foot light industrial space so we can pack 500 people for BPM. I'm going to do the physical space. But also, I guess it's like a blessing and a curse. I've never been into an office. I don't know this business outside my garage. So I have to learn how to recruit people through a laptop and through a phone, and that's what I've done. So I hope that answers your question to a certain extent. I know I didn't get very, very detailed, but hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, I have one more question that was asked through the group here. And so the question is here, how do you deal with everyone around you or some people around you not liking your intensity or worse, not liking you? And I know we discussed this, you and I on the phone. Does that ever get to you, being alone in the way that you are?
Yeah, I'm human. Good question. I'm human, okay? I have feelings, I have emotions. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. The majority of people in the Miliari group do not like me. It's probably the only one that does like me. But other than that, I kind of recognize I am an oddball. I don't really get along with other people in the sandbox. I don't think I'm welcome in the sandbox. And all I said is like, why am I confined to the sandbox when there's a fucking beach over there with unlimited sand? So that was kind of my perspective shift. And then with my team, that hurts me more because I want to earn the respect of the people I respect. So you might see a very eccentric exterior, but I have different parts of my personality as well. And I guess at the end of the day, so cliche, but I have to say it, people don't care what they know until they know you care. And when people come in, I actually don't let them on my daily calls for their first 3 days. I think I'm way too intense for people that come in. There's now like checkpoints that they go through. They got to go through the member portal in 3 days. Then they got to go through, I purchased Zoom rooms, so you can have Zoom rooms. I have like fast start Zoom rooms where they're held by SAs and MDs. So they kind of run that. So by the time they get to me, they've already like filtered themselves out, or they've already been here for a week or two. And listen, some people are offended by my tenacity, my abrasiveness, my colorful language, but I'll tell you this, some will, some won't. So what? Stop whining, start working. I just move on. I take everything with a grain of salt, but I don't lose people because of my intensity. One thing I'm really working on is understanding the part-time culture. It's foreign to me. Like I said, I don't do anything part-time in my life except for sleep, so I don't understand part-time. So I'm trying to get it, and we have open dialogue as a team. I tell them multiple times a week, I understand that you're not full-time, but I need you to understand that I am full-time. And if we relate part-time and full-time to integers, which are whole numbers, part-time is 1. Part-time is great, by the way. Part-time is 1, and full-time is 2 or greater. If I just have part-time, including myself, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, 1 to the power of infinity, 1 to the power of oblivion, still 1. You need a couple of numbers greater than 1, a 2, a 3, a 4 into the mix. So I'm like, hey, I'm thankful that you're part-time. I would like you to be thankful that I'm full-time, because I'm the dude that when you put me into the mathematics of the equation, I help us multiply. I'm not asking you to be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. You can be a 1. So we have this common understanding that I know they're not full-time, but they understand I'm full-time. So if they get 350 notifications on a group chat in a day, they're like, yeah, that's just Ali. And I'm not joking, that's just the way it is. And what really happens is a lot of people come in like, oh, I can only do this part-time. And within a week's time, they're right into the energy is contagious. So some people might come in. See, when people come in, they're like, I had a girl last night, you know, oh, I saw these articles. She sent me like 25 screenshots and articles of like, is WFG a scam and all these negative reviews. I like read one paragraph of a screenshot and I sent her a voice note. I'm like, Fallon, I can't read all these screenshots. I said, do me a favor before we continue. I said, what's a department store that you shop at very often? She said, Walmart. I said, go type in negative reviews for Google on Walmart and then send me all the articles and then call me directly on my phone. She went and checked all the articles. I said, where did you find more negative reviews, WFG or Walmart? She says Walmart. I said, so you're telling me you don't work with WFG? Do you still want to shop at Walmart? Oh, you do. Isn't that double standard? Do we need to have this conversation again? That's how I addressed it. I just moved on. So it's just, I have an unorthodox style, but people come in. I want to be part-time. They've read some bad reviews and they don't like the cultishness. Is that a word? Cultishness of what we do? That's fine. Okay. You always win. It's a contact sport. You always win by getting more people. That's it.
It's awesome. I have one more question, one last question. So
Yeah.
obviously, you've been successful in the past. COVID happened and you gave this thing a shot. You went all in because you had the time. But obviously you told me earlier that you're going to get rid of those other two businesses and this is going to be where you're going to, make your residual income and everything. So what do you like best about this company? Why do you see this as the best business opportunity that you've ever seen?
I think it's a great way to end the call too. 3 things I looked at, or I looked at when I came in. I looked at proximity, I looked at scalability, and I looked at legacy. That's the 3 things I looked at. Number 1, I looked at proximity. There are dudes and chicks in this company that are making 8 figures cumulatively and some annually. There are power players in this company. And I'm getting connected with, not just a Power Ranger, but Zordon, Ed Milet. How can I not? How do I put it? It's like, okay, if I relate me and Ed to plants, I'm like a money tree. I'm feeling myself. I'm a money-making machine. I'm a money tree. But I've been confined to the 4 walls, the ceiling, and the windowsill I've been sitting on my entire life in the shitty plastic pot that I've lived in. And I get my rays of sunshine every day, and I get my nutrients like water, and I'm feeling good. And then 3 months ago, I look out the window, and in the distance, I see an 80-foot bamboo tree. And I'm like, who and what the fuck is that? And how do I get there? And the analogy is figurative, but it's literal for me. It's like I cracked the shitty dark green plastic pot that I've been confined to my entire life. And now I'm planted in the garden with many bamboo trees, like Richard Thawley and Ed Milet and Jamie and many other people. I'm sorry if I haven't mentioned your name, but a lot of other heavyweights in this industry. So for me, I'm the kind of individual that stretches in correlation to my environment. I'm very competitive. So if there's people doing better than me, I want to do better than them. If there's people making more money than me, I want to learn how. I thought I figured it out. I'm like, yes, Tetris level 275. I am the shit. Look how far I got in this game. And then I see Hannah and I'm like, Tetris level 470? Okay, I thought I was doing well. And Marshall, Tetris level 582? Jamie, Tetris level 3,600? Hey, Tetris level 5,472? My 275. It's like Candy Crush. Every time you think you finished the round and then 5 rounds crush open, it's like, it's never ending. So I'm like, I have to be in that environment. That's how I'm going to grow, number 1. Number 2, scalability. I've done door to door. I'm a caveman. I spent 18 years knocking on people's doors. Like literally my plate says DVD King. That's how obsessed I am with door to door. Like I've knocked on people's doors. Very archaic, cavemanish of me to do that. And I have not been able to grow. My highest team ever, 500 people. Now that earned me millions of dollars a year, 500 people. And I'm like, why am I impacting 500 when I can be impacting 500,000? The same amount of work. Why? Why am I limiting myself? And then my business, like my American Smart Home business, we did 12 million last year, but I had to spend 9 million to make 3 million. That's not fun. Here, I mean, yeah, you have expenses, ancillary costs, but I mean, you're literally getting a net return. You're telling me I can make 10 million and keep 10 million? I don't know what that's foreign to me. That's like gibberish. I don't know what that means. I know what it's like to make 10 million, but I also know what it's like to spend 8 to make 2. I don't know what it's like to make 10 and keep 10. That's new to me. The scalability was huge. And then 3 is legacy. I'm a very hard worker. I'm very tenacious and audacious, as you've seen. But I'll tell you something. If I spend the rest of my life working, and listen, it may not be paycheck to paycheck, but it is paycheck to paycheck, because all I'm focused on is working income. I promise myself, if I ever get into a third business, there has to be a component of an exit strategy. There has to be a sellable asset attached to it. And initially, I thought I wanted to take my company public until I became part of a company that had an IPO. And I'm like, no way, Jose. I'm not doing that shit again. No way. Then I joined this business. I'm like, after 5 years, I can build up residuals that I can either sell and cash out and do the biggest financial mic drop of my life, or what I'm going to do, which is will or deed it to my beneficiary, which is my children. My legacy has always been that when my kids remember me, they're like, my dad was a good human being, good moral fiber, good moral compass, good integrity, a good person. I'll tell you what's equally as important as being a good person. Money, M-O-N-E-Y, leaving them money. By the way, anyone that tells you money is not important does not fucking have any. Money is a tool, it's a vehicle. I'm like, I can build up a cash flow of $20 million a year. My exit is not an overnight wire. My exit is death. I can have a trust written to my kids. My trust will literally read like this. Children, daddy's gone. I will miss you, and I know you will miss me. Please go to Excel portal and get licensed and book your test through PSI. And you will all inherit $5 million each. In caps lock and bolded. Please don't fuck this up. Like, that's what my trust is. It's funny, but it's true. Like, that's going to be my legacy. I'm going to leave my kids millions of dollars for the rest of their life. That's the main thing that drove me to come here.
Yeah, there's just nothing like it. WFG is more than a job. It's more than a business. There's just, it's like a bubble, just awesomeness. And it really is. It has, like you said, no competition, but there's just no comparison. There's just magic here, and the environment, and that we have multi-7-figure earners, you know, willing and wanting to coach us and pull us up. It is very special. I've been here 20 years. You've been here 90 days. And you guys, he's just trying to figure this thing out. You know what I mean? Like, he's barely a field trainer, okay? But he's not waiting. You know, he's been here less time than almost anyone on this call, and he's just still figuring it out. But he's, you know what I mean? Like, some of you guys are intimidated by, like, the story about PHP, and you've been here years, right? And he's been here 7 days and says, "Put me on the phone with him." Boom. And I just appreciate your tenacity. I appreciate your drive. I appreciate your willingness to share with these other people on the call, and and also, you know, share so much with competition. You know, sometimes people that are competitive aren't willing to, you know, share, you know, these things. I've always thought, like, I'll share it all. Most of them won't do it anyway, right? And if they do, I override the whole company eventually someday. So that's going to be good. I want everybody to make more money, right? But anyways, this just tells me the dream that there's new guys coming in that are hungry, that see this vision, that appreciate it so much, and that are willing to just take that immediate, massive action. And so that was a great way to end it. And thanks for being on here tonight. We are excited for where you're going this next year. What's your goal by the end of this year?
EVC, done. No matter what, EVC before the end of the year. If I can leave off with one thing that everybody can remember, it would be this: be rigid in your vision, yet flexible in your approach.
Awesome. EVC by the end of the year, you guys. He already has an SMD Academy, like an elite circle that he's doing on his own. 90 days in the business, and he's developing SMDs. So that's awesome. I appreciate your time, and congratulations, Marshall, again, and Jeremy and Richard and Raul. You guys are awesome. And congratulations to you on your SMD promotion, Allie. It's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, good night, you guys. Thanks for your time.